To all of our Facebook viewers. Welcome to our Zoom attendees. We are so happy to have you with us. I'm Ann. I'm the platform assistant today, and Reverend Gordon is back from his staycation. Well, you didn't really stay much. You were on the go a lot. Did you have fun?
Sure did. Got to do some fishing. Didn't catch any fish, but got to do and found out where you can't fish on Big Sugar Creek.
Oh,
But
it
had
must
fun.
be.
It was
Yeah,
good.
it must be a theme. I saw Michael went fishing yesterday, so yeah, good to get out in nature.
You know, I don't know if I ever told you, but my favorite Bible story is the one about the multitude that loafs and fishes.
Got it. Oh, that's how we roll here at Unity of Joplin, folks. It's always fun, it's always powerful and pleasant, and we're glad that you're here. We like to start off by checking in on our social media, and today's statement is prosperity is mine at Unity of Joplin. If you would tweet that out, post it on your many social media platforms, let the world know that you're with us this morning, and we are grateful. We have our first gathering song, God is Good and All is Well.
What a wonderful morning, beyond compare. I feel God's loving presence everywhere, and I am filled with joy profound in a world where many miracles abound. In the garden of my soul, I am happy, healed, and whole. I know that God is good and all is well. In the garden of my soul, I am happy, healed, and whole. I know that God is good and all is well. What a wonderful morning, beyond compare. I feel God's loving presence everywhere, and I am filled with joy profound in a world where many miracles abound. In the garden of my soul, I am happy, healed, and whole. I know that God is good and all is well. In the garden of my soul, I am happy, healed, and whole. I know that God is good and all is well. All is well. All is well. All is well.
We just affirm that, especially as at the end, I heard a giant crash in my kitchen and the pitter patter of a fast cat. I can't wait to see what's waiting later. Now, though, we thank our music team for that song and what's to come today. Gary and Jerry, John, you guys, we love you. And thank you, Michael, for making sure it all gets recorded and available to us here each Sunday morning. Our special music today, we have two actually, one by John and one by Gary. So we look forward to that as well. Our trustee of the day is Billy. He's hanging out in the Facebook chat. Say good morning to him. He's there to support you if you have any questions or special needs as we move through the service. And as we said, I'm Anne. I'm the angel of ceremonies, and Reverend Gordon is back with us to give the meditation and the lesson today. Okay, I am so grateful that we can express our gratitude for the messages and the work of Unity of Joplin. We do that by sharing our tithes and love offerings, which we'll be officially blessing a little bit later. But if you'd like to get a jump on it, you can go to the Unity of Joplin website, look for that donate button in the upper right-hand corner, select General Fund, and share your gifts in a safe and secure way. And we do appreciate that. Our announcements are, pretty much standard in terms of everything that's going on at Unity of Joplin. Yes, definitely check out our Facebook page for updates, but you can always check in with Gordon every evening, except Sunday. We do give him a break, and except Wednesday, when the Myers family gives us the Wednesday night word. All of these happen at 8 p.m. right there on our Facebook page. Catch the replay if you need to, but if you're looking for a little extra inspiration to get you through the week, please, these are the folks that can bring it to you. Speaking of everything going on, World Day of Prayer, what a beautiful, beautiful time with our Unity family worldwide. Just really special. Thank you all that brought that to us. And our Prosperity Plus class is set to start on Tuesday. However, I got to be honest, I'm a little befuddled, Gordon. I'm befuddled because we're just not getting much sign-up participation. And I guess that's encouraging news because it must mean all of you are experiencing more prosperity, more blessings, more financial assistance than you ever dreamed possible. And I'd like to know your secret. But if you are not, even if you are, there's always more good to come. And we would love to have you join us for this class.
I hope to jump in there and join that class. I get paid on the day of, and I can get the digital materials. So I'm gonna do my best to join that.
Yeah, that's okay. We need some others to make the same decision and to do that by 5 o'clock tonight, because one thing that this class did teach me is that how we spend our time, our energy, and our effort is just as important as how we spend our money. So we want to make sure that we are giving you the best experience possible, and that does take some time and some preparation. So please respect that, and if you're feeling called to join us, please let me know by 5 o'clock tonight. Our annual meeting is going to be a lot of fun right here at my creative cottage in my side yard on South Sargent Street. We are meeting on September 27th, and whether you can be with us in person or not, this is also a note for all of you who are watching. We will have our Sunday service at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. We will not be here Sunday morning, so don't panic if you sign on and we're not here. We will be broadcasting it through Zoom and Facebook that afternoon at 4 o'clock. And then we'll move into our annual meeting. And that's always a special time. It's a necessary time where we really need your presence, virtually or in person, socially distanced, of course. But that's when some decisions are made about the next year for the church, and you'll want to be part of that. And our chaplain training, are you feeling that call? If so, we encourage you to put October 9th through 11th on your calendar for our chaplain training. You can just email Gordon, send him a message, and let him know that you're interested. Wow.
I'm going to jump in.
The Unity.
Gordon.
I'm going to jump in here and say to people that there's a lot of work that goes into preparing the chaplain training. It's a 2 full day, well, Friday evening and all day Saturday. And we need to know as far in advance how many people are going to be taking that training. It is going to be an in-person training. It's not going to be on Zoom. We will social distance and all of that. But we have to create the material. You actually get a workbook and notebooks and all that kind of stuff. So please let us know if you are feeling that call. Being a chaplain is one of the most important things you can do in Unity. And we look forward to having a good team.
Yeah, we're so blessed to have positive prayer support from so many members of the church, but it really is a wonderful commitment. And yeah, I guess that would be my wish for all of us, that when we see these things, we take fast action, right? The universe rewards fast action takers. So don't hesitate. Say yes. Say yes if you feel just that glimmer of inspiration to become part of these things. You're always welcome. We are the most welcoming church, I think, on the planet. So don't let that fear of maybe it's not quite right, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Just say yes and join us for the classes, for the trainings. We do so much to make these opportunities available for you, and you won't regret it. Yeah. Thank you. Mary Morrissey's the one who is bringing us the Prosperity Plus training. She's got a virtual event coming up for 3 days, the end of October. You definitely want to be part of this one too. So you can check that out through her website. We've had it in the e-letter. You can get more information there. Definitely. Yeah. And you're welcome to stick around after the service and say hello to Gordon. Any questions you have about the service, the message, feel free to ask. Just have another cup of coffee with us after the service. Fun, fun. We really begin to prepare for the message. Just kind of centering ourselves and taking in that deep breath where we can become present in the chair that supports us as we hear the daily word, and that is shared by Michael today.
All right, today's daily word is prosperity. Let's move this over so I can see it. Prosperity. I am receptive to my good, and I draw my own prosperity to me. What constitutes prosperity? For some persons, to have a substantial bank account or to own property constitutes prosperity. Others may feel that to have a prestigious position constitutes prosperity. There are those who may feel that to be able to use their talents productively constitutes prosperity. Still others, rich in material possessions, may feel that they have a loving family and friends, that to have a loving family and friends constitutes prosperity. Today, whatever means okay, sorry, the wording's a little off. Today, whatever prosperity means to you, let your heart and mind be open and receptive to receive your good. Your own good means prosperity, fulfillment, satisfaction, and happiness for you. Let your words of faith and your thoughts of love come together to prosper you. You can pray for others, knowing that as they are open and receptive to their good, they draw their own prosperity to them. His delight in the law of the Lord, in all that he does, he prospers. Psalms 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move into our special music, and then Gordon will take it away with our meditation, more special music, and our lesson.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to and chased from afar, to try when your arms are too weary to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars.
And as we reach, we turn our gaze inside, reaching towards our heart. As we reach towards our highest aspirations, we know we live in times where those stars may seem more unreachable than ever before. And yet, we have hope. Affirming there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good omnipotent. I now tap in to that omnipotence, that all-knowing, that one power that assures me that moving through this process is leading me towards greater expression, greater understanding, and greater prosperity in all of its forms. I hold to the vision of a prosperous life for all. I hold to a vision of health for everyone, safety for everyone, support for everyone, peace for everyone. I breathe in to the presence of God. I breathe out the strength of God. One way that I can express my prosperity is to hold others in the light and love of God. Today, I hold all of those on the West Coast of the United States, all of those in South America and Africa dealing with fires. I hold the energy of gentle rains, of clearing skies, of safety. For all of those who are dealing with COVID or other health issues, I send a blessing of God's healing energy. Revitalizing, renewing, healing, and sustaining. For all of those who are dealing with loss of income, I affirm that God is my source and God is all source. I affirm that flowing of prosperity. I affirm that no one need go hungry. No one need go without shelter. I send a blessing of prosperity to all who are in need in this moment. I send a blessing of peace to all who are anxious, who are worried, who are filled with fear. God is in charge. Despite appearances, the harmonizing, loving energy that God is flows through all. I know that I can send forth these blessings because I am blessed by God. I acknowledge God as my source of health, love, peace, and financial prosperity. My good may come to me through many channels, but God is my source. And thus I allow myself to be an open giving channel for God's good. For as I give, I increase the flow for myself and for those to whom I give. I am open to receive and give forth all of the good that God is. And in this now moment, in this place of understanding, I give thanks. I give thanks to prosperity in all of its forms. That is mine. Mine to receive, mine to give, mine to embrace and express. And I say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
When a star is born, they possess a gift or two. One of them is this: they have the power to make a wish come true. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. If your heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come
Wow. Thank you, John and Jerry and Gary, for that, for the earlier song. You know, I just got to give a shout out to those guys. They are troopers. Now, how many weeks now have they every week spent at least a day, you know, recording? John's, you know, probably all of them researching the music, and it's a lot of work, and they've done such an awesome job. We really appreciate you guys. And I've never heard the full version of that song before. I noticed several people on Facebook posted the same thing. It's beautiful. And it speaks to prosperity. It speaks to what we want out of life, what we affirm out of life, what we seek. And we live in times, let's face it, that right now, so much of what we want, so much of what we affirm, so much of what we believe in seems as far away as the stars. We're dealing with people who have lost jobs. We've seen the economy collapse in many places. I was talking to some Unity minister friends around the country the other day, and in Florida and places like that, they're reporting, you know, people having to stand on long lines just to get food. We're dealing with lack of trust in our leadership, you know, pandemics, fires. It seems like we are in the midst of being as far away from the stars as possible. And it may be very difficult for a lot of people to feel prosperous in these times. But part of the challenge is that we think our prosperity is dependent on outer circumstances. We forget where our prosperity really comes from and what it is. So today we're going to look at what prosperity really is, where it comes from, and how we can experience it even in the midst of everything that we are going through. To begin with, let's look at the word prosperity or prosper. It comes from the Latin properare, which originally meant to render happy. It had nothing to do with possessions. It had nothing to do with finances. It simply meant to render happy, to make someone or something happy. Later on, another Latin word came out of that, properus, which means to have and receive according to one's wishes. Again, not limited to finances. Even the modern Webster's dictionary of the word prosper means to succeed in an enterprise or activity and to be strong and flourishing. When you hear the word prosperity, do you think of that? What do you think of? Where does your mind go? Does it go to be successful in an enterprise or an activity? It could be a business. It could be planting a garden. It could be cleaning your house. It could be doing the dishes. It could be anything you can imagine. And it means to be strong and flourishing. Is it possible to flourish in these times? Well, as I said, notice this. notice that none of those definitions specifically said anything about money or income. Rather, they were about internal levels of consciousness. Unity has its own definition of prosperity given to us by Charles Fillmore, and he wrote this in his book, Prosperity. Prosperity is not wholly a matter of capital, but it is a condition brought about by certain ideas that have been allowed to rule in consciousness. When ideas are changed, conditions are changed, in spite of the environment, in spite of all appearances, because they must also change to conform with new ideas. So let's unpack that paragraph because it's such an important paragraph. Let's begin with the beginning. Prosperity is not wholly a matter of capital. It is a condition brought about by certain ideas that have been allowed to rule in consciousness. What ideas are ruling in our consciousness right now? Based on Webster's dictionary definition, capital, money, really has nothing to do with it. It is a measure of one aspect of our prosperity consciousness. So if you're dealing with a lack of finances, ask yourself, what is that showing me? Because that is not your prosperity lack. You have no lack of financial prosperity. You have a lack of prosperity consciousness. Because finances and everything else follows consciousness. If you feel you can't give, ask yourself, what is holding me back really? It is a measure of consciousness. We all know that there are people around us that are blessed with lots of money. And we all know people who are blessed with lots of money who at the same time are living in fear of losing it. They may be physically not healthy, emotionally not healthy. Money doesn't provide that stuff. Money is not prosperity. Prosperity is consciousness. And it's a holistic consciousness. It has to do with every aspect of life, every aspect of experience, all of which are more important than the money. So let's get a clear understanding of what we are talking about. Prosperity is a condition. It is a state of being. It is an attitude, a philosophy, a belief that brings about a physical expression based on certain ideas that we hold. You know, perhaps one of the greatest illnesses that our Western culture is experiencing is not COVID. It's the condition brought about by our thinking. COVID is but a symptom of a greater problem. Lack is a symptom of a greater problem. Fires are a symptom of a greater problem. Anything you can name that we are dealing with in our world right now are but symptoms of a greater problem. And the greater problem is our thinking. The ideas that we have been holding on to are manifesting as the things we are experiencing. We say in Unity all of the time, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. They don't always produce exactly the way we think. They produce, though, in ways that try to get our attention. The universe is trying to get our attention, and we have not been paying attention. And the less attention we pay, the more the universe tries to get our attention. You know, we kind of jokingly say we get hit upside the head with the cosmic 2x4. Well, we've been ignoring it, and the 2x4 has gone to a 4x4, a 6x6, a 12x12, whole trees. The universe is trying to get the Western world's attention. And it's all about the ideas that we have been holding in mind. More and more as I have meditated on this, I am realizing that the ideas that are manifesting in our experiences are ideas that come from ideas of race or class superiority, ideas of fear, of illness, of the other, of any ideas of an angry or wrathful God, a fear of equanimity for all people, which is largely a fear of, well, if I give up a portion of what I have, someone else then will get all that I have, which makes no sense at all, because we know that the more we give, the more we receive. If we look at all of the examples in history of those who have prospered and prospered even more, we discover that they are the ones who have given more. Every single spiritual teacher the world has ever had has said, you will prosper as you give. And yet we don't do it. We don't do it. And it's mind-boggling sometimes. The metaphysics of every school of thought that has ever existed teaches that it is our beliefs and our attitudes that draw to us experiences that attract conditions. Let's look at COVID. The title of this talk is Prospering in the Midst of Pandemic. COVID, we did not create it. Humanity did not create it, but our collective consciousness is fueling it. I believe that has what is behind the rise in the cases and the refusal to take the necessary precautions and do the things we know we need to do to mitigate it, rather than take responsibility for changing our thinking, because that is what will end it. That is what will end all the negative stuff we are going through, is changing our thinking. You know, we in the West, we spend most of our time deciding on who to blame things on. Who are we going to blame the virus on? Who are we going to blame the fires on? Who are we going to blame this on? Who are we going to blame that on? Rather than taking responsibility. Blaming is not prosperity consciousness. I'm going to say that again. Blaming is not prosperity consciousness. If we are to prosper in these times of pandemic, then we must do what Charles said. We must change our thought patterns. Remember what he said. He said, when our ideas are changed, the conditions are changed, in spite of all environment and in spite of all appearances. That's that impossible star that Gary sang about in the song, the impossible dream. The impossible dream is not impossible once we stop looking at appearances. Yes, the appearances say, I can do nothing. The appearances of fire say, well, I can do nothing. The appearances of lack say, I can do nothing. The appearances of war and violence and all the stuff that we don't want say, you can do nothing. But they are appearances. In the Hindu and Buddhist traditions, that's called Maya, the illusion that blinds us to what is. You know, we say thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Well, if I'm just going to change my thinking, and this is one of the challenges with this whole concept of changing our thinking. We think, well, if I just change my thinking, everything will magically change. That's magical thinking. That's not practical spirituality. That's magical spirituality. Practical spirituality says, I have to change my thinking, and then I have to move. I have to take action. You know, we say, well, one day the virus will be magically gone. Poof, it will not be there. That's magical thinking, because it leaves out the important part. It leaves out our part, our ability to take action. It's a gift. The ability and the invitation of Spirit says, do something. Don't just think. Thinking is important because that's where it starts, but don't just think. You were not given only a brain. You were given feet and hands and voice. Use them. It's holistic. Prosperity is holistic. Action is holistic. Thought creates the energy, but the energy then has to be directed in positive directions and paths. How do we do it? Well, we take the thoughts that we have and we give energy to them. We create action with them. Charles Fillmore also wrote in his book, Teach Us to Pray, the first thing to do in making a demonstration of prosperity is to discard all negative thoughts and words. Build up a positive thought atmosphere in the home. and the home is up here. An atmosphere that is free from fear and filled with love. You know, I look at what gets posted on Facebook pages and social media, and as I said, it's all about who is going to do what, who is the bad or evil person, who is to blame. Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. The leaders we have are but a reflection of who we are. They are a result of our collective consciousness. So if we want to change it, we have to change our consciousness. If we want leaders who are compassionate, balanced, sane, hardworking, intelligent, that is what we need to give our thought energy to. It does no good to give energy to what we don't want. Charles Fillmore said this: if you already possess everything necessary for the demonstration of prosperity and can undertake it with the utmost confidence and faith, you can then draw on omnipresent substance, and it will never grow less, for that is the realm of ideas. But it is through the use of ideas that they begin to manifest in our affairs. And that is a critical part that so often we miss and we forget. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, but it is the use of the thoughts we hold in mind that bring it into physical expression. This is living in the kingdom of heaven consciousness. That knowing that we already have everything we desire. It's there, it's all around us. Health, peace, security, money, love. But we have to do something in the human form to move it from the realm of ideas to the manifest realm. So that's the second step in the process then, moving it. How do we do that? Well, Charles Fillmore said, I would say to everyone who wishes to demonstrate prosperity, and I remind you what prosperity is, it is holistic. I would say to everyone who wishes to demonstrate prosperity, take God into partnership with yourself, and you will demonstrate abundance. Oh, how often do we forget to do that? Oh, we can post on our Facebook page, oh, this person's bad or that person's bad, or, you know, how often do we post? God is my partner. I call upon the power of God to move through this. It's one of the oldest spiritual teachings there is. Put God first. It goes all the way back to the Sumerians and the Zoroastrians and probably back even beyond them. We find references to putting God first. Charles said, understand that supply may seem to come through outer channels, but your real success depends on your inner hold on the prosperity realization. Be grateful for the supply that comes through outer channels, but do not limit God to giving through any one channel. Look to God and be prospered. Acknowledge God as the source by returning back to the source a portion in recognition of your faith. I'm quoting Charles there, but Charles was quoting other teachers all through history. They're talking about tithing. What is tithing? We have this idea of what tithing is, and most people do not understand what it is. You tithe to where you are spiritually fed. I'm going to be honest with you. I look at our love offerings and I kind of wonder if I'm spiritually feeding anybody. I really do. You tithe to where you are spiritually fed. Oh, I talk to people who will tell me, well, I give to Save the Whales or Save the Monkeys or whatever, you know, and that's good. Don't stop doing that. Don't stop giving to charity, but that's not tithing. That is paying your good forward, which is a very good and necessary thing to do, but it is not acknowledging your source. It is not tithing. I know tithing is scary. It was for me years ago when I first started doing it, but now I can't. Now it's scarier to me to not tithe. It really is. If I don't tithe, I get nervous. But I understand it can be scary. Why are we afraid to tithe? Well, because we think our good comes to us from some other source besides God. We think it comes to us from our job. We think it comes to us from Social Security or our investments or whatever. Those are the channels. They are not the source. And so what happens? When we do that, we give to God what is left rather than what is possible. Now, I know there are some of you who listen to this who really do practice tithing, and you know what I'm talking about. Because when you do it, the source opens up. Give to God what is possible, not what is left. The universe sees what we tithe. Make no mistake about it. The universe sees what we tithe, and it bases its supply that it gives to us on what we tithe, because that is our acknowledgement of what we are receiving. Charles Fillmore said, the great promise of prosperity is that if we go to God and God's righteousness first, and that word is right-useness, then all shall be added unto them. One of the most practical and sensible ways of seeking the kingdom of God is to become a tither. Put God first in your finances. It's what Jesus said. It's what Buddha said. It's what the Zoroastrians believed. It's what Moses taught. It goes back to the earliest fundamental teachings of living a spiritual life. We can do it in all areas of our life. If you want more health, practice giving health. Do the simple things. Be conscious of what you're putting into your body. Put God first in your health by wearing a mask, by washing your hands, by doing the simple things, by living a healthy lifestyle, healthy thinking. Put God first in your relationships. If you want better relationships, if you want healing in your relationships, put God first. Be loving and kind to all people, to everybody. Charles Fillmore said, prosperity or poverty, it all depends on you. Because all that God has is yours, but you alone are responsible for the relationship of God's good to your life. Through conscious recognition of your oneness with God and God's abundance, you draw the living substance into the invisible realm. That's so important. I'm going to read it again, especially that last part. Through conscious recognition of your oneness with God and God's abundance, you draw the living substance into the visible realm. There's no other way to do it. You can't pull the living substance into your life physically with your hands. You can't do magic things, spells and stuff and bring it into your life. You have to recognize the source. Because what happens when you recognize the source? You become one with it. The word recognize comes from cognition, to recreate the cognitive connection we have with divine supply, divine source. In recognizing God as our source, we are solidifying that channel. We are opening up the pipeline. We are becoming one with God. Just saying, I am one with God. Great. That has power, but it doesn't open up the channels. It doesn't solidify our oneness. It is through recognizing God as our source. If I say to you, where does your income come from? And you say, let's pretend it's me. I say, well, it comes from Unity of Joplin. No, it doesn't. It comes through Unity of Joplin and other sources too. My sources are infinite and unlimited. God is my source. If you are a garbage collector, does it come through the garbage? No. God is your source. It comes through the garbage company, but God is your source. Social Security is your channel, but God is your source. And if you want more channels, recognize and acknowledge God as your source. For health, for relationship, for peace of mind, for financial prosperity, God is your source. So if I say to you, where does your good come from? What are you going to reply? Say it. From God. My good comes from God. Through many channels, but it comes from God. It all depends on our thinking. It all depends on it. I'm going to say that sentence one more time. Prosperity or poverty, it all depends on you. All that God has is yours, but you alone are responsible for the relationship of God's good to your life. Through conscious recognition of your oneness with God and God's abundance, you draw the living substance into the invisible realm. If you want a magic spell, there it is, Harry Potter fans. Translate it to Latin if you want, but there it is. You draw the living substance into the invisible realm through your recognition of your oneness with Source. And it's not all about you. Your belief system must include not just yourself, but everyone and everything else. Science is now telling us we are all interconnected energetically, not just to every other human being on the planet, but to creation itself. Thus, how we treat others, how we treat our planet, affects our prosperity because it is a part of our prosperity. Want proof? Let's look at Myrtle Fillmore. True prosperity is not about making money or even putting out good or developing property. It is determining what our individual soul requires in order to cause it to unfold more and more of God, and then harmonize it with the needs of our fellow humans so that they are all benefited and inspired to unfold and express more of their inner spiritual resources. Myrtle Fillmore, 100 years ago, said that we need to do what Jesus did. You know, if you think about what Jesus did when he entered a village, what did he do? First, he fed people. Then he healed people. And then he taught. Why in that order? Because Jesus knew people can't learn if they're hungry. They can't learn if they're sick. He felt that connection, and he knew they could receive his message if first they were fed and then they were healed. You know, I hear people say all the time, well, I'm doing great. My stocks are doing great. Great, I'm happy for you. But not everybody's is. Not everybody has that. And we have an obligation, not just to be good, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because we all grow. Jesus said, if I am lifted up, I draw all others unto me. What he was saying is when we lift up our consciousness, and we can lift up others around us as well. You know, one of the things people forget is the Buddha was not really poor. Jesus was not really poor, but they recognized their responsibility to all. And that's why they had that responsibility. Because if you have lots of love in your life, why not find a way to show that love to someone who doesn't? Because it will only increase. If you have plenty to eat, why not find a way to feed those who don't? Because it will only increase. If you live in a safe place, why not make room for someone who doesn't? Because safety will only increase. What you give your attention and energy to increases for you. The more you do for others, you know, the more you have for yourself. We know that. It's a spiritual principle. If you want to increase any area of your life, you have to give it. You have to make room for increase for yourself, for the world, for humanity, because we are all one in God. Charles Fillmore wrote in Atom Smashing Power of the Mind, in the new economy, we shall serve for the joy of serving, and prosperity will flow to us and through us in rippling streams of plenty. There's an affirmation for you. I'm going to say it again. In the new economy, we will serve for the joy of serving, and prosperity will flow to us and through us in rippling streams of plenty. Ernest Wilson backed it up. There are three fundamentals to the manifestation of prosperity that all of us need to know, because all of us are subject to them. Those three fundamentals are give, receive, and share. Notice give comes first, not second. So often, you know, when I talk to people about prosperity, well, they say, I would love to give more, but yeah, I just don't have that much. Every great teacher said, you got it backwards. Give first. Then you will receive. And then you can share. Give to God. Give back to your source as a recognition of you are my source. It's what happens when we do that? What happens when we practice a tithing principle? We give back to our source. We are saying, oh, yes, you are my source. I recognize you. You are my source. God is my source. Then we receive more. We receive more. And then we can share more with others. So to sum it all up, first, we have to be clear of what prosperity is. That's so important because we so often, especially in our the word I'm looking for is out of my head. In our Western world where we're so fixated on things and bank accounts and all of that, we cut off so much of this. We cut off all other aspects of what prosperity is. And that's not really what prosperity is. That's a manifestation of prosperity. What prosperity is health, love, relationship, right livelihood, peace, assurance, and supply. And money is not supply. Money is used for supply, but it is not supply. It is a measure of it. So let me say those words for those, because I see some of you on Zoom are taking notes. Let me repeat those for you. Prosperity consists of health, love, relationship, right livelihood. Some people say employment. I say right livelihood. Peace, assurance, and supply. Eric Butterworth also wrote, prosperity is a way of living and thinking. It's not about money or things. Poverty is a way of living and thinking. It's not just a lack of money and things. So once we have a clear understanding of what prosperity is, then we have to know what our source of prosperity is. Our source is God. There are many channels, but God is our source. So make God your partner. Make God your partner. Understand the difference between tithing and giving. The next step is change your thinking. Change your thinking about supply, about health, about relationships, about peace, about love, about anything. And the next step is have faith. Take a risk. I don't mean risky investing or taking health risks. Take the risk of trusting God. Ego says, ooh, don't take that risk. I can see a stock portfolio, but I can't see God. That's what ego says. The heart says, I see God everywhere. I see possibility. I see potential. Take a risk. Trust God. Because you cannot function properly without trusting God. And then this next step is serve others. It is imperative that we all prosper together. Every spiritual teaching says nobody prospers until everybody prospers. Ernest Wilson wrote this. I love this line. And he wrote this a long, long time ago. In the body corporate of a nation, prosperity depends upon good circulation, a wholesome atmosphere of giving and receiving. Man, did he see these times we're in maybe? I don't know. But he said this. If any part of the body is not receiving what it needs for survival, it will surely wither and perish, infecting the entire body as it dies. The same is true for a nation. If any part of a nation is not receiving what it needs for survival, it will surely wither and die, and the infection will spread throughout the land. Jesus said, what you do for the least of these, you have done for me. Life is ever giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are spiritual attributes that belong to each one of us to use and belong to all people. So I invite you, change your thinking, get into the flow of prosperity, and prepare for miracles, not just yourself, but for all of us. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Wonderful words, wonderful reminders, and terrific action steps. And so one of those action steps, just saying, sign up for the Prosperity Plus class by 5 o'clock tonight. Okay, enough said. Let's take that advice, those suggestions into our heart as we share our tithes and love offerings today. Again, remember, you can simply go to the Unity of Joplin website, click on that donate button, and select general fund. You can give freely, safely, and securely. Or if you prefer, you can donate by mail. Here's our mailing address. We'll definitely receive your gifts no matter which way you choose to give them. But let's bless these together now and just symbolically take them into your hands. As we know, in a universe overflowing with the allness of God, all of the needs of Unity of Joplin and those we serve are bountifully met. From every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected, our abundant good is here now. And we say, thank you, God, because we know that these tithes and offerings are dedicated to the will and work of Spirit through Unity of Joplin and for the highest good of all. Never get tired of saying that. I love that feeling that comes when we do. We've had lots of visitors this morning. I haven't checked the actual Facebook page, but I held a watch party and I had friends and family joining from Pennsylvania, right here from Joplin, from New York, Michigan, Colorado, and Illinois. So thank you all for signing on. Who's